We are going to start to run into a true driver shortage. That day is coming sooner than later.
Well, we often get asked if there's a truck driver shortage. It's a thing that we hear all over the industry nowadays. But the real question is there really a truck driver shortage? I'm Jeron Rennie, I'm the recruiting manager here at ATS.
And I'm Robbie Schaefer, I'm the lead recruiter here at ATS.
So I guess we'll start with the question, Robbie.
Yeah.
Is there a truck driver shortage today?
I don't think that there is a truck driver shortage. Actually, from kind of everything I'm reading, everything I'm looking at, what it looks like is compared to how much freight is in the market, there might actually be too many drivers in the market.
It's kind of causing the rates we're seeing today, right? Shippers aren't needing the drivers as much, but the drivers still exist, so they don't have to pay those inflated rates that we saw a couple of years ago. And so yeah, you're exactly right. It feels like there's too many drivers in the industry right now.
Just as a recruiter out there on the floor, what I can tell you is that the volume of applications that we see has increased dramatically, especially over the last probably 2 or 3 years. That doesn't necessarily mean there's more drivers in there, but it's a pretty good indicator.
Part of that is because of a couple of years ago when I was saying the rates were inflated. Well, everybody wanted in on that. So a ton of drivers were getting their CDLs and working their way into the industry because they wanted in on those at higher rates. And so now we've got more drivers in the industry than we did, say, 5 years ago.
Yeah, during COVID, there was so much push to move so much freight. Everybody wanted to stock their inventories and get as much as they could because lead times were so awful with the supposed shortages of everything. That increased the rates a lot, 2020, 2021, and even into 2022. But now that we start to see those inventories being full and people not inventorying as much, that has changed the market dramatically.
You had mentioned how there's an influx of driver applicants today. Would you consider those an influx of qualified applicants, or what are you seeing from a recruiting standpoint?
That is a great question. So what I can tell you is that pre-COVID, we were hiring somewhere in the neighborhood of about 2.5% to 3% of the applications that we received. Today, that's down to about 1%. So the volume seems to be higher, but the quality seems to be lower. And another thing that plays into that volume is if a driver applies here, that really means that he's applied for 7 different companies. So that volume is kind of inflated just naturally because drivers are applying for so many different companies at the same time.
And when we say quality, we're not trying to imply that drivers are just bad at what they do necessarily. What we mean by quality is that carriers like us, a lot of carriers, have guidelines, as they call them, and so that means we require only a certain amount of jobs, certain amount of moving violations, accidents, things like that. So what we're seeing a lot right now, especially because the market has gone down, is that drivers are jumping from job to job to try to find the one that does pay them what they were hoping to see, from
Yes.
2 years ago. And so they're getting too many jobs and disqualifying themselves. So that's really what we mean by quality.
Yeah, so as a driver, if you're watching this, the biggest piece of advice I can give you is do a lot of research before you go to that next company. Make sure it's somewhere where you can stay for a year. And it really, really cuts down on the number of companies that will accept you if you're bouncing around from company to company.
Part of the challenges we're facing too today, by the way, is that the workforce continues to age. We're not getting those younger drivers in the industry. And so earlier when I said, today it feels like we've got a surplus, but that probably won't last forever. Well, that's because drivers are going to be retiring and not as many younger drivers are coming into the industry. So we talk about the average age of a truck driver, 47 years old at this point. And so most of the workforce out there, outside of trucking, the average age is about 38 years old. And so another odd piece of information too is that most drivers getting into the industry are actually 35. So it's not even their first job in many cases. They're trying something else, deciding that didn't work out for them and they want to do something new, and trucking is that something new. So not only are drivers older in the industry, they're starting older as well.
Yeah, so as an industry, we really need to focus on how to attract some younger people, right? Or we are going to start to run into a true driver shortage, which has been advertised for years that there's been a driver shortage, and there really never has been. But with those numbers that Jeron just talked about, that day is coming sooner than later.
Like you said, there's probably no silver bullet to solve this problem, but if you think back years or decades ago, I suppose at this point, being a truck driver used to be kind of like you were the cowboy, out west. You were the road warrior out there doing the job for so many people. Everybody loved it. There were movies about it. And it's different. You know, we fortunately, while there were a lot of negatives about the pandemic, one of the positives I will say is the appreciation we saw even outside the industry for truck drivers. And so while that was great to see, it's we've sort of moved on already and forgotten about it. And so things like that, I think, are just causing people to not want to come into the industry. They don't know about it. They see them on the road, and that's what causes some frustrations as they're driving, as opposed to being grateful for the fact that those drivers are out on the road. So a lot has changed, and I think that's a huge step in the direction we need to go.
We always hear the negatives, right? And in trucking, there are a lot of challenges.
For sure.
It's challenging to be away from home. It's challenging in just dealing with the public out on the roads. But what we need to talk about is all the good things. It is a very good living as a truck driver. You get to travel and see the country. As an industry, we just need to focus on those positives more, because there really are truly a lot of positives about the trucking industry.
Yeah, to piggyback off that a little bit too, you know, most of us nowadays, we want a job where we know we're doing something that matters, right? And so it's just more than a paycheck. And in the case of a truck driver, if you think about it, without you, there's stats out there, I don't remember off the top of my head, but without you, if you stop doing your job for 24 hours, there'd be X amount less on the shelves. And so what you do as a truck driver is so important for this country and really the world. It's just kind of cool to think about how much of a difference you really make to the lives of everyone.
Huge difference, and we're talking about the global economy. You know, you can talk about it on a micro level, just your local grocery store, but globally, truck drivers in the United States have a huge effect. And you talk about a day, let's talk about a week. In a week, this country would be absolutely crippled. So I just want to take a moment to say thank you, all of you truck drivers out there, for what you do.
Absolutely. All right, everyone, thanks for watching. Be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. We'll see you in the next one.